NFL draft nerds, welcome in. I am fired up today, Friday, January 10th. We have got Jordan Reid's first round predictions, ESPN. Jordan Reid is one of the best in the business when it comes to NFL draft media. Every time he has something to say, I listen. You should as well. So fired up to mock the mock here today on Friday. Hope everybody's geared up for an exciting weekend, an exciting night of college football. Last night you saw Notre Dame come back against Penn State. Tonight, you have got Ohio State and Texas clashing for a spot in the national championship game. A lot of talent in that game. But again, we're looking at Jordan Reid's latest first round mock draft. Excited to get into it here. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. And the top 18 picks are locked in. Obviously, teams can trade up, they can trade down, but as of right now, the draft order is set for the top 18, which it's an exciting time once you finally get that clarity. Tennessee Titans at 1 overall are taking quarterback Cam Ward. And again, this is entirely predictive by Jordan Reid. I think from a predictive standpoint, a quarterback probably does make sense here. I would hope that Titans brass, whoever that ends up being, we don't know, right? Rand Carthen's been fired, looks at this quarterback class and says, man, there's just better talent on the board. And there's a chance we could go get a veteran quarterback that could do better for us in the meantime. And we can go in a quarterback class in 2026 that looks a lot better. We can go get our quarterback of the future next year. I would not be betting on Cam Ward at 1 overall. Plain and simple. I just think from a processing standpoint within the pocket, pro style, he hasn't done it. Now, Brian Callahan, yes, he can do a lot of spread concepts, which I think will help out Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. But this would be a missed opportunity for me, in my opinion, to potentially trade down with a quarterback needy team like the Raiders who might want to move up, maybe the Jets, who knows. I would be looking to trade down, acquire more draft capital to potentially help us go get the quarterback next year that we really covet, because I think there's going to be several quarterbacks in the class next year that could make more sense. And you could also take a flyer on a mid to late round quarterback this year. That's the path I would be trying to take. If I was the Titans, I would love to land an Abdul Carter, someone in that mold to really pair with Jeffrey Simmons and Devondre Sweat. But predictively, yeah, I think a quarterback definitely makes sense to the Titans. Cleveland Browns, same thing. Shedeur Sanders, quarterback Colorado. Now, with the Browns, because they have a very good coaching staff in place, in my opinion, they have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball, really on both sides. They do need to shore up their tackles because you've got Jedrick Wills, who his future is murky, and then you've also got Conklin, who's dealt with a ton of injuries. But Shedeur Sanders, the potential floor that he could bring, I think is fairly enticing, honestly. So I could see that one with a team that, again, is really close to competing. I think the Titans, even though they've spent a ton of money last year, they're not as close to competing as the Browns are. I really believe that. So I could see this one making a little bit more sense. Again, if I'm Cleveland, this is not the direction I'm going, but predictively, I think that there's a really good chance, better than 50% chance, that the first two picks are these quarterbacks. Don't like it, but I think that Jordan Reid's on the money there. And then this is my first very exciting pick. Travis Hunter to the New York Giants at 3 overall from Jordan Reid. I love this because whether he's playing corner, which is a desperate need for the Giants, or receiver, catching passes, opposite Malik Neighbors, goodness gracious, or maybe a little bit of both, right? Personally, I view Travis Hunter, if I was taking him, I'd be taking him as a receiver because I think he is somewhat limited as a man coverage corner. I think when you look at him going against some of the very best big-bodied and best receivers in general, it's just difficult with the rules of the game to dominate on that front, right? But you talk about him as a receiver, I think he's a more twitched up version of Garrett Wilson with maybe even better length and explosiveness and better catch point skills. He is going to be an absolute menace. Again, I would value him at receiver more than corner, but either way, you can't go wrong. I think Travis Hunter is going to be a star in this league. Kelvin Banks to the Patriots at 4. This is the first one where I'm like, gosh, I don't even see it from a predictive standpoint. Again, I wouldn't take Sanders or Ward at the top. I understand it predictively. This one, predictively, I do not understand. I think if the Patriots are in the offensive line game here, I would much rather take Will Campbell, even as a tackle, over Kelvin Banks. I would. I think Will Campbell's a better football player. I think he's more physical. I think he plays with better balance overall. Kelvin Banks and his propensity to play out over his skis, to fall off blocks, it's troubling to me. And I don't think he has great length either, along with Will Campbell, who doesn't have great length. But the Patriots do need to shore up their offensive line. I don't know this is the best spot to do it. I think you go round 2, round 3, round 4, whatever you got to do, potentially to go get your tackle. I think there's more enticing. Like, would I rather take Armand Membu or Marcus Mbo in round 2 or Kelvin Banks at 4 overall? Sign me up for the latter. Could Cameron Williams maybe fall to round 2? I doubt it, but sign me up for that over taking Kelvin Banks at 4 overall. And if I was taking a tackle here, a pure tackle, pure left tackle to protect Drake May, it would be Josh Simmons or Josh Connerly. I think they have the most upside and actual the physical traits to be great pass protecting tackles. I do. So this is a pick I don't see happening. I would not be on board with it for the Patriots. If I was sitting here as the Patriots at 4 overall, I'd be looking at one of these defenders, quite honestly. Will Johnson, Abdul Carter, or Mason Graham. That's how I see it. Jacksonville Jaguars taking Will Johnson. This one is chalky. It's exactly what I think the Jaguars will do. I think that Trent Baalke is going to go into this offseason as Jaguars general manager. He's going to address all the little needs that they have here and there. Safety, maybe guard, all his perceived needs. I still think they need a receiver as well. But they have Tyson Campbell at outside corner. They have Jarian Jones at nickel. They need one more corner. I think Will Johnson, with his prototypical size, athleticism, and length, would be a Trent Baalke type of pick here. Then the Las Vegas Raiders, they don't get their quarterback of the future, but that's just fine because they get Abdul Carter, who is an absolute monster. Was dominating against Notre Dame last night, even though he was dealing with a shoulder injury. And you have that Darth Vader eye tape. I mean, sign me all the way up for Abdul Carter as a Las Vegas Raider, playing opposite Max Crosby with Christian Wilkins in the interior. And then Mason Graham to the New York Jets, playing with Quinnen Williams. Yes, these are incredible value picks for the Raiders and Jets. They almost make too much sense. It feels like it's just not going to be able to happen, right? But we'll see. I like those picks a lot. Carolina Panthers taking Michael Williams. I get it. Physical profile-wise, unbelievable. Very good run defender already. Crazy explosive. Great length. Still developing as a pass rusher. This is not the direction I would go, even though every time I do a mock draft and Panthers fans are like, we got to go defense. Well, even if that is the case, even if you feel like you have to go defense, Michael Williams would not be my pick. I would be looking at a couple other guys ahead of Michael Williams. James Pierce Jr., I think, is going to be a better pass rusher overall. I think that you look at a Malachi Starks, he would be a better overall player. Blue chip prospect for me at safety. I know edge is a more valuable position technically, but I'd even be looking at offense. Like you don't have a long-term setup really for Bryce Young and his receivers. You just don't. I know Xavier Legette played pretty well. I love Jalen Coker too, but I think you need a true number one. I don't think Legette or Coker are either of those guys. I think if they're a 2 and a 3 for you, you're in business. I know Adam Thielen is still there, but he's not going to be around for a very long time. I wouldn't be mad if they went and got Luther Burden or Tedero McMillan. I wouldn't be mad if they went and added Ashton Genty, and I know that's not popular, but look, they have an offensive line, an offensive infrastructure that is set up for a running back to succeed. I know everybody talks about Jonathan Brooks, but guess what? He's coming off 2 ACLs, 2 knee injuries. And then you've also got Chuba Hubbard, who they extended, but you need more than one back. And so if you have Hubbard and Genty moving forward, that is an incredible pairing for Bryce Young in this offense to lean on. But look, I do think Michael Williams is going to end up going in the top 10. I would not be surprised if this is the pick predictively. It's just not where I would go. New Orleans Saints getting T-Mac makes a ton of sense. I think there's a couple defensive ends that would make sense for them as well. Shamar Stewart, Michael Williams would have made sense. But yeah, them going and getting Tedero McMillan, I can see that one tracking for sure. Pairing him with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. It's a really nice trio there. Chicago Bears taking Will Campbell. This is a pick. Predictively, I like it, and from a what I would do standpoint, fantastic pick because he's the best offensive lineman available. Not the best offensive tackle, but the best offensive lineman available. I think he projects as guard better than tackle, and you need help at guard and tackle if you're the Chicago Bears. And he's also going to be a mauler in the run game on the interior. Big fan of that. Shamar Stewart to the 49ers. Gosh, he's 6'5", 290 pounds. Needs to work the pass rush plan a little bit, but you see flashes of moves. You see him able to bull rush and long arm and set the edge. He is so explosive at his size. Makes sense for me. I think there are some better prospects overall available here, but I think it tracks for sure. Dallas Cowboys taking Ashton Genty is as chalky as it comes. I would be in favor of it for them. Certainly, Miami Dolphins, Malachi Starks, Javon Holland probably entering free agency. Malachi Starks is that one-to-one replacement and actually upgrade for the Miami Dolphins there. So that tracks. 12 and 13 are absolutely very easily predictive, and so is 14 here. Tyler Warren to the Indianapolis Colts. He's just an unbelievable tight end prospect, and he's more than that. He can line up as your wildcat quarterback, H-back, inline tight end, put him in the slot, put him wherever the hell you want, and just feed him the rock. And you've got Anthony Richardson, who is a supreme physical talent, Tyler Warren, who's a supreme physical talent, Jonathan Taylor, who's a supreme physical talent. That makes it really difficult, not only from a run game perspective, but also in the pass game. I mean, Tyler Warren would be Anthony Richardson's best friend as a reliable hands catcher. Physical as all get out. You get him the ball in so many different ways, and he can also help you. He can help block for Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson as well. Jalen Walker to the Falcons. I think predictively this one tracks. Again, I think James Pierce Jr. should be coming off the board earlier than this, but Jalen Walker, I project him more as an edge than a linebacker, at least a very downhill-oriented player. I don't want him flipping his hips and turning and running in coverage. That's just not where I see him thriving at his best. But he is a freak physically, athletically, a guy who plays with tenacity. He can cross the face of tackles incredibly well. He just has too much juice for them to keep up with him. And so I think there's a lot of upside here. I think it's a little bit of a reach, in my opinion, not from an athletic trait standpoint, but just from like James Pierce Jr. is a better prospect as an edge player, in my opinion. If you're talking about a pure linebacker, Jihad Campbell is a better prospect. Maybe Jalen Walker can be the best of both worlds. We'll see. Arizona Cardinals going to get Josh Simmons to pair with Paris Johnson. Yeah, I think this is a great pick for them, protecting their quarterback, protect the investment. Cincinnati Bengals, James Pierce Jr., edge out of Tennessee, finally. And hey, the Bengals could use his skill set for sure. They need to be able to get after the quarterback a whole lot more. They need to be more stout up front as well, which James Pierce Jr., despite not being an oversized edge, he plays the run better than a lot of people would expect at 243 pounds. And he also, not only does he set the edge better than you would expect, but he can be a disruptor, somebody who can shoot gaps for sure. Seattle Seahawks going Josh Connerly. We've seen this a lot. Yeah, they could use a tackle. Abraham Lucas has been injured a ton. So pairing him up with Charles Cross, in a couple of years, you could be looking at like the best pass blocking tackle duo in football. Certainly could be up there. Siobhan Ravel to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've done this myself. I think it makes a ton of sense. This is a guy that I think had he been able to play, more in 2024, dealing with the ACL, I think it would have vaulted himself into the conversation for CB1 or CB2. I think he would have been a top 10 type of pick. Houston Texans, Jonas Avenant, yeah. Sign me all the way up, putting him in there at guard. They need help on the offensive line. For whatever reason, they have really regressed on the offensive line this year. Plugging him in there makes a ton of sense. Denver Broncos taking Luther Burden. Yeah, I can see him in a Sean Payton offense working really well, being Bo Nick's best friend, a 3-level threat. You can get him the ball quickly on screens, jet sweeps. You can hit him the ball out of the backfield as well. And again, he has such a dynamic skill set that I think has been poorly misused at Missouri. So I'd be fired up about that for the Broncos. Colton Loveland to the Rams. Yes, absolutely. Such a good route runner, such good hands, great length. I think you plug him in and Sean McVay is so good when it comes to manipulating leverage. I think Colton Loveland would be a perfect fit for that. No, he's not like a complete tight end with the blocking, but you don't need that necessarily in today's game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jihad Campbell. Yeah, I think this is a great pick for them. I think that This is a good value spot for Jihad. Again, I have him ahead of Jalen Walker, and he can rush off the edge as well. He's got that versatility. I think he's a better athlete, better length, just looks the part and plays the part well as well. So Trey Amos to the Green Bay Packers. This tracks for me for sure. He's an athlete. I think he can play man or zone. I like his instincts. I like the way he plays the game coming out of Ole Miss. Is he my top rated corner? No, but I think his versatility and his athletic profile makes a lot of sense. Los Angeles Chargers getting Kenneth Grant, of course. Jim Harbaugh, he needs some beef on the interior of that defensive line. Kenneth Grant can provide that in spades, and he's also an athlete, flexible, 340 pounds, great run defender, one tech, nose tackle, but can also give you some versatility, in my opinion, because of that athleticism and flexibility. It just makes too much sense. And I don't think he'll fall this far, quite frankly. Emeka Ibuka to the Washington Commanders is a great fit. Pairing him up with Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, this is great value at this spot for the Commanders. I would love it. Nick Scorton to the Eagles makes a lot of sense. They thrive on taking advantage of market inefficiencies. Nick Scorton should not fall to 27 overall. They go and get some more edge help. A guy who can be versatile, should not be as flexible as he is at his size. He has a nasty spin move. He's only 20 years old. So, yeah, Nick Scorton for sure. Buffalo Bills taking Derek Harmon. I think I've done this one before. It makes a lot of sense. They can use an interior defender who can play the run and also get upfield and disrupt in the backfield against the pass game. Walter Nolan falling to the Vikings would be a dream come true if Brian Flores is still there. Even if he's not, I think this is an insane value. He has the most upside as an interior pass rusher of anyone in this class. Bottom line, bar none, in my opinion. So yeah, that would be very exciting for the Vikings. And it's not like he can't play the run. Tyler Booker falling to the Ravens. I think that they would run this pick in. I think it's possible he falls this far because he's not going to test as like an insane athlete, but he has great length, great strength, a tremendous guard prospect who is going to be unbelievable at the point of attack in the run game, and he's really going to protect your quarterback as well. Armand Membu to the Kansas City Chiefs. I love this pick for them. You plug him in at tackle, and he's going to thrive. I don't think he's playing guard for you. I think he's playing to tackle for the Chiefs. Now, if they address the tackle position elsewhere and they lose Trey Smith or Joe Tooney or whatever it may be, yes, I could see that making sense. But for me, Armand Membu is a tackle. And then Mike Green, the edge out of Marshall for the Detroit Lions. I can see this one pairing up with Aiden Hutchinson really well. He has a bag of pass rush moves, has a spin move, super athletic, bendy, got the length coming off the edge. So I think he could really help the Detroit Lions defense out as well. I love this mock draft from Jordan Reid. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content here, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good weekend.